Letting go is one of the most difficult and powerful lessons of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, watch and take care not to entertain notions inappropriate to virtue and reasonable nature. Letting go does not mean giving up or fleeing. It means having the courage to release what no longer serves you, including people who constantly bring negativity into your life. Letting go is an act of liberation, not weakness. It requires bravery to recognize that some relationships or situations are no longer healthy for you, and that it is better for your mental and emotional well-being to let them go. 1. Stay calm and don't react immediately. Imagine the following situation. You're in a work meeting, and a colleague who seems to have a special talent for finding flaws in everything makes a sarcastic comment about your latest presentation. The atmosphere becomes tense, and your first instinct is to defend yourself, perhaps with an equally sarcastic remark or a defensive response. It's in these moments that you will see how the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius becomes invaluable. He said, "The best revenge is not to be like them." This advice is not just an invitation to indifference, but a strategy to preserve your inner peace. Reacting immediately in a state of intense emotion, whether it's anger, frustration, or pain, rarely produces positive results. In fact, most of the time, it only perpetuates a cycle of negativity. By choosing not to react immediately, you are taking a conscious step towards self-control and mastery of your emotions, which is a fundamental pillar of Stoicism. Think about how many times an impulsive reaction has made a situation worse. Perhaps you responded to a hurtful comment with another, equally hurtful one, only to find yourself caught in a pointless argument that left both parties feeling worse. Now imagine a different scenario. Instead of reacting immediately, you take a moment to breathe deeply, reflect on what is really happening, and decide how you want to respond. This brief moment of pause allows you to choose a response that is not only more effective, but also reflects your true character, not one influenced by the negativity of others. Science backs up this practice. Research in psychology has shown that taking a moment to reflect before responding to a stressful situation can significantly reduce cortisol levels, the stress hormone, and increase feelings of control and well-being. Moreover, when you take the time to calm down, your brain has the opportunity to process the situation from a more rational place, allowing you to see things with greater clarity and perspective. By practicing calmness and not reacting immediately, you are also strengthening a mental muscle that will make you more resilient in the future. Every time you choose not to be carried away by the emotion of the moment, you are training your mind to be stronger and more resistant to provocations. Over time, you will discover that toxic people have less power over you because you have developed the ability to maintain your composure and inner peace, regardless of what they say or do. To better understand this approach, we can look at historical figures who also mastered the art of calmness and non-reaction. Gandhi, for example, faced criticism and even violence with impressive calm, turning his serenity into a tool for resistance and social change. This same strategy was used by Nelson Mandela, who, after years of imprisonment, chose reconciliation instead of retribution. These figures show us that calmness and non-reaction are not just tools for self-care, but also for social transformation. Additionally, for those interested in applying this more practically in their daily lives, techniques like mindfulness meditation have been shown to reduce emotional reactivity. By taking a few minutes each day to practice meditation, you are training your mind to respond more reflectively and less impulsively. This approach is a great benefit for health. It not only improves your ability to handle toxic people, but also prepares you to face any challenge with a clearer and more balanced mind. Finally, it's helpful to remember that this skill is valued in many cultures around the world. In Japan, for example, the practice of hara-hachibu, or eating until only 80% full, reflects a broader cultural approach to moderation and self-control. This same principle can be applied to emotional control, avoiding being overwhelmed by negative emotions to the point of reacting impulsively and instead maintaining a state of moderation and balance. 2. Set clear boundaries. The concept of boundaries is essential in any relationship, but we often overlook it. Whether in our personal or professional lives, setting clear boundaries is a way to protect our emotional and mental well-being. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, emphasized the importance of keeping our minds and spirits free from harmful external influences. He wrote, "Do not allow the soul to resign itself to become the passive recipient of any thought or judgment that comes from outside." What does this mean in practice? Think about the last time you felt obligated to say yes when you actually wanted to say no. Perhaps a friend asked you for a favor that you didn't want to do, or a colleague asked you to take on an additional task when you were already overwhelmed. We often say yes because we fear appearing selfish or want to avoid conflict. However, each time we do this, we sacrifice a part of our well-being to please others. Setting clear boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but rather a form of self-respect. It's recognizing that your time, energy, and well-being are valuable, and you have the right to protect them. For example, if you have a friend who constantly calls to complain about their life without showing interest in how you are, it is completely valid to set a boundary. You can kindly but firmly tell them that, while you appreciate their friendship, you cannot dedicate so much time to negative conversations. This not only protects your energy, but also sends a clear message. You value your well-being and are not willing to compromise it. Clear boundaries not only protect you, but they also teach others how you want to be treated. When you communicate your boundaries effectively, you are setting a standard for your relationships. Those who truly value and respect you will be willing to honor those boundaries. On the other hand, people who only seek to take advantage of you will likely distance themselves, which is an added benefit. Moreover, establishing clear boundaries can positively transform the dynamics of your relationships. By communicating what you need and what you are not willing to tolerate, you are creating a space for relationships to be more balanced and respectful. This can lead to greater mutual understanding and healthier interactions. Most importantly, by protecting your spirit and emotional space, you give yourself the opportunity to thrive and surround yourself with people who truly support and inspire you. To better understand how to implement this strategy, we can look at testimonials from people who have successfully established boundaries. Many individuals have shared how, after learning to say no and protect their time and energy, they experienced a significant transformation in their well-being. Some noticed an improvement in their self-esteem and their ability to handle stress, while others saw toxic relationships disappear from their lives, making way for more positive and enriching connections. If you are looking for practical guidance on how to start setting boundaries, you might consider the following approach. First, identify the areas in your life where you feel your boundaries are being violated, whether at work, in your personal relationships, or in your social commitments. Then, think about how you would like to be treated in those situations. Once you have this clear, practice communicating your boundaries assertively but respectfully, using phrases like, "I feel more comfortable when," or "I need you to." Don't be afraid to reiterate these boundaries if necessary. Consistency is key for others to respect them. In the long run, establishing clear boundaries not only protects you from external negativity, but it also reinforces your self-confidence. Every time you allow yourself to say no to something that doesn't align with your values or jeopardizes your well-being, you are affirming your worth and your right to live a life that reflects who you truly are. This practice, while challenging at first, becomes a powerful tool for creating a fuller, more balanced and authentic life. 3. Don't take anything personally. One of the most powerful principles of Stoicism is the idea that we should not take anything personally. Marcus Aurelius expressed this eloquently. The soul is dyed the color of its thoughts. This is a profound reflection on how our perception shapes our reality. If we allow the criticisms or actions of others to affect us, we are, in essence, permitting their toxicity to become part of our own worldview. Imagine a situation in which you receive a destructive criticism from someone who seems to enjoy belittling you. It's natural to feel that you are being personally attacked, but Stoicism teaches us to look beyond that initial reaction. The person criticizing you is likely dealing with their own internal issues, insecurities, or frustrations. Their behavior is a reflection of their internal state, not yours. A practical exercise to avoid taking things personally is to visualize that you are wearing an invisible shield that repels any negative or malicious comments. This shield is not a physical barrier, but a mental and emotional one. Every time someone says something negative, instead of absorbing it and letting it affect your mood, you can imagine that the comment simply bounces off your shield and falls harmlessly to the ground. It's also helpful to remember the famous quote by Eleanor Roosevelt, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." This quote reinforces the idea that the power of others' words is only effective if you give it that power. If you choose not to take things personally, you are disabling others' ability to negatively influence your life. Another important aspect of this practice is the idea that each person sees the world through their own lens, shaped by their experiences, beliefs, and emotions. What someone says or does doesn't always have to do with you, but with themselves. By understanding this, you can develop greater empathy toward others, even toward those who are toxic, while simultaneously protecting your inner peace. Not taking things personally doesn't mean becoming insensitive or indifferent. Rather, it means developing an emotional resilience that allows you to maintain your balance regardless of what others do or say. This is a powerful skill that will not only protect you from toxicity, but also allow you to live more freely and authentically, without being constantly at the mercy of others' opinions and actions. To better understand how this strategy works in practice, we can delve into how our brains process criticism and why we often take it personally. Studies in neuroscience have shown that our brains are wired to detect threats, including social threats like criticism, which can trigger an intense emotional response. However, by training our minds to view these criticisms from a Stoic perspective, we can reduce the emotional impact and respond in a more balanced way. Additionally, you can implement depersonalization exercises into your daily routine. For example, when faced with a situation where you feel personally attacked, try adopting the perspective of an outside observer. Ask yourself, how would an impartial third party view this situation? What advice would someone who cares about my well-being give me? This approach helps you create emotional distance and see the situation with greater clarity. To inspire you further, consider the stories of public figures who have learned not to take criticism personally. Steve Jobs, for example, faced countless criticisms throughout his career, but instead of letting them discourage him, he used them as motivation to push forward and improve. This ability to transform criticism into drivers of growth is a key characteristic of those who have learned not to take things personally. 4. Practice empathy without being manipulated. Empathy is an admirable quality, and it's something that Marcus Aurelius encouraged. However, like all things, it must be practiced with discernment. Marcus Aurelius urges us to be compassionate, but without sacrificing our serenity. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. While you live, while it is possible, be good. Finding the balance between empathy and self-care can be challenging, especially when dealing with toxic people who may take advantage of your understanding nature. It's easy to feel pity for someone who constantly complains about their life or seems trapped in a cycle of negativity. However, if you're not careful, you may find yourself absorbing their negative energy or, worse, being manipulated by them. Imagine you have a friend who always turns to you for emotional support, but never seems to improve or change their situation. Every conversation is a monologue about their problems, and every time you try to offer solutions, they reject or ignore them. In such situations, it's crucial to practice empathy in a balanced way. You can listen to your friend and show understanding, but it's also important to set boundaries regarding how much time and energy you are willing to dedicate to these conversations. For example, you might offer to listen for a limited time and then suggest discussing something else, or encourage the person to consider seeking professional help if the situation is severe. This allows you to be compassionate without becoming a repository for negativity. Another strategy is to practice distant empathy, a technique where you acknowledge and understand the other person's feelings without becoming emotionally involved to the point that it affects you. This may involve actively listening and offering support, but also maintaining a certain emotional distance so that their mood or problems do not impact your own well-being. The goal is to help the other person constructively without sacrificing your own peace. Remember that being empathetic does not mean carrying the burdens of others. You can offer your support and understanding, but each person is responsible for their own life and well-being. By practicing empathy in this way, you ensure that you are giving your best without allowing others' negativity to drag you down. To enrich this practice, it's helpful to consider the difference between empathy and sympathy. While sympathy involves feeling pity for another person's situation, true empathy requires a deep understanding of their emotions without necessarily sharing them. This type of empathy allows you to be supportive without losing your own balance. Historical Stoic figures like Marcus Aurelius often practiced this kind of empathy. As a leader, Marcus had to understand his people, but he also needed to maintain mental clarity to make tough decisions without being overwhelmed by others' emotions. If you find yourself in a situation where empathy could lead to manipulation, it's essential to remember that empathy should not come at the expense of your serenity. You can be understanding and offer help, but it's also necessary to be aware of your limits. If a person continuously rejects your suggestions or solutions, it's a sign that they might be looking for something more than support, and that's where you need to establish your own boundaries to avoid getting caught in a cycle of negativity. Finally, practicing empathy in a balanced way not only protects you, but also benefits the person you're interacting with. By not absorbing their negativity, you give them the space to take responsibility for their situation and work on their own personal growth. Instead of being a mere receptacle for complaints, you become a facilitator of change, someone who supports but also motivates others to seek proactive solutions. 5. Be aware of your own emotions. One of the most valuable teachings of Stoicism is the importance of self-awareness. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. This quote highlights the importance of being aware of how our emotions and perceptions affect our interpretation of reality. When facing a toxic person, it's common for intense emotions like frustration, anger, or sadness to arise. These emotions, if not managed properly, can cloud your judgment and lead you to react impulsively. That's why it's crucial to develop a practice of self-awareness that allows you to identify and understand your emotions before acting on them. An effective way to do this is by keeping an emotional journal. This journal allows you to track your feelings and analyze why you react a certain way in different situations. For example, you might write down how you felt after an interaction with a toxic person, what thoughts arose, and how those thoughts influenced your emotions. By reviewing your journal, you could discover patterns in your reactions, helping you better understand your emotional triggers. This practice of self-awareness not only helps you manage your interactions with toxic people, but also offers you an opportunity to grow and learn more about yourself. By understanding your emotions and how they affect you, you can begin to respond more deliberately and less reactively. This enables you to maintain calmness and clarity in situations that might otherwise be emotionally overwhelming. Additionally, self-awareness gives you the ability to question your own thoughts and perceptions. For example, if someone makes a hurtful comment, you might ask yourself, why does this comment affect me so much? Is it really a reflection of my worth, or is it simply someone else's opinion? By asking these types of questions, you can deactivate the power that others' comments have over you and maintain your emotional balance. Ultimately, being aware of your own emotions gives you control over how you choose to react. Instead of being a puppet to your emotions, you can become the director of your emotional life, consciously choosing how to respond to each situation. This is an invaluable skill that will not only help you better manage toxic people, but also navigate life with greater serenity and wisdom. To deepen this practice, it's helpful to explore how self-awareness relates to mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness can help you be more present in the moment and observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment or immediate reaction. Studies have shown that those who practice mindfulness regularly are better able to regulate their emotions and make wiser decisions under pressure. By incorporating mindfulness into your daily life, whether through meditation or simply paying more attention to your thoughts and feelings, you strengthen your self-awareness and improve your interactions with others. Emotional intelligence also plays a crucial role in this process. By developing your emotional intelligence, you not only learn to recognize and understand your own emotions, but also improve your ability to empathize with others and manage interpersonal relationships more effectively. Self-awareness is one of the pillars of emotional intelligence, and by cultivating it, you are investing in your long-term emotional well-being. 6. Avoid gossip and negativity. Gossip is one of those practices that we all know is harmful, yet sometimes it's difficult to avoid. Marcus Aurelius, being an emperor surrounded by courtiers and scheming politicians, was very aware of the dangers of gossip and negativity. In his meditations, he wrote, "The quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." This quote perfectly encapsulates the impact that gossip and negativity can have on our lives. Engaging in gossip not only feeds the toxicity around you, but also contaminates your mind. Every time you participate in a negative conversation, you contribute to an atmosphere of distrust and discomfort, both for yourself and for others. While it may be tempting to join in a gossip conversation, especially if you feel a connection with others through criticizing someone, it's important to remember that this practice harms not only the person being talked about, but also yourself. Consider the following example. You're at the office and a colleague starts speaking poorly of another co-worker. It may be tempting to join in, especially if you have negative feelings toward that person, or simply want to feel part of the group. But by doing so, you are contributing to a cycle of negativity that will eventually affect you as well. Moreover, by participating in gossip, you are damaging your integrity and creating a less healthy work environment. A wiser strategy would be to steer the conversation towards something more positive or simply choose not to participate. For instance, you could say something like, "I understand this is a delicate topic, but I prefer not to talk about it right now. How about we discuss that project we're working on?" This small action not only protects you from getting involved in negativity, but also helps you set a standard of respect and professionalism around you. Another reason to avoid gossip is the impact it has on your inner peace. Every time you engage in negative conversations, you are filling your mind with harmful thoughts that will eventually affect your emotional well-being. By choosing not to participate in gossip, you are making a conscious decision to protect your mental and emotional peace. Furthermore, by avoiding gossip, you are also cultivating an environment of trust. When others see that you do not engage in gossip, they are more likely to view you as a trustworthy and respectful person. This can strengthen your personal and professional relationships and help you build a circle of people who also value integrity and respect. It's interesting to note how gossip and negativity affect not only those directly involved, but also the broader social environment. Sociological studies have shown that environments where gossip prevails tend to have lower levels of trust and cooperation. In contrast, when people refrain from gossiping and opt for constructive conversations, a more positive and productive work atmosphere is fostered. If you find yourself in a situation where gossip seems inevitable, consider positive alternatives to redirect the conversation. For example, you could share an inspiring story or discuss motivating ideas. By doing so, you not only avoid negativity, but also contribute to an environment that promotes growth and collaboration. This not only enhances your own well-being, but can also positively influence those around you, creating a domino effect of positivity. Finally, by choosing not to participate in gossip, you also protect your inner peace. Negative conversations can be emotionally exhausting and leave you feeling unsettled. By opting to stay on the sidelines and focus your energy on the positive, you ensure that your interactions are a source of joy rather than stress. This, in turn, strengthens your mental health and helps you maintain a positive and constructive attitude in your daily life. 7. Redirect the conversation. We've all been in those conversations where negativity seems to dominate and drag everyone into a gloomy mood. Perhaps you're at a family gathering and someone starts complaining about everything: the weather, the food, politics, or anything else they can find. Marcus Aurelius, known for his ability to remain serene amidst chaos, might have offered this advice: redirect the conversation towards something more positive and constructive. Imagine you're at a social gathering and the conversation starts to revolve around negative topics. Instead of letting yourself get swept up in the tide of complaints and criticisms, you could intervene with a comment like, "I understand these topics can be frustrating, but how about we talk about something positive that happened this week? Does anyone have good news to share?" This simple act of redirecting the conversation can completely change the tone of the interaction and transform a negative discussion into an opportunity to share good and uplifting things. Redirecting the conversation is not just a way to avoid negativity, but also a way to exert positive influence in your environment. When you take the initiative to change the subject, you demonstrate that you prefer to focus on what is constructive and beneficial, rather than getting caught up in what is destructive and demotivating. This attitude can be contagious, inspiring others to follow your lead and engage in more positive and productive conversations. Furthermore, redirecting the conversation is also a way to protect your own mental health. Negative conversations can be exhausting and leave you feeling weighed down. By choosing to focus on the positive, you not only protect your energy, but also ensure that social interactions are a source of joy and growth rather than stress and exhaustion. This technique can also be useful in the workplace. If you find yourself in a meeting where the focus is solely on problems and criticisms, you might propose a shift in focus. I understand that these challenges are important, but can we also take a few minutes to discuss possible solutions or ideas for improving the situation? By doing this, you're not only promoting a more positive and proactive mindset, but also helping your team move forward instead of getting stuck in negativity. Effectively redirecting the conversation requires communication skills that you can develop with practice. One of the most effective ways to do this is by using open-ended questions that invite others to reflect on positive or constructive aspects. For example, instead of abruptly changing the topic, you might ask, "What can we learn from this situation that will help us improve in the future?" This type of question not only redirects the conversation, but also engages others in the search for solutions, which can be extremely productive. It's interesting to observe how some successful leaders use this technique to maintain a positive focus within their teams. For example, in the business world, leaders like Richard Branson have been observed preferring to focus on what can be improved rather than lamenting what went wrong. This positive approach not only motivates their teams, but also creates a more optimistic and solution-oriented work environment. Finally, redirecting the conversation not only helps you maintain a positive atmosphere, but it can also have a profound impact on your emotional well-being. When you choose to focus on the positive, you are training your mind to look for the good in every situation, which in turn reduces stress and increases your emotional resilience. When this practice becomes a habit, it can transform not only your social interactions, but also the way you experience and respond to life in general. 8. Remember that you cannot control everything. One of the fundamental teachings of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control. Some things are within our control, while others are not. Marcus Aurelius, facing colossal challenges as emperor, deeply understood this principle. In his meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When dealing with toxic people, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if we just say or do the right thing, we can change their behavior or way of being. However, Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control others, only ourselves. This understanding is liberating because it allows us to focus our energy on what we can truly control: our own reactions, thoughts, and decisions. For example, suppose you work with someone who is always negative and critical. You could spend a lot of time and energy trying to change their attitude, only to become frustrated when you realize your efforts make no difference. Instead of exhausting yourself trying to change what is outside your control, you could focus on how you choose to respond to that person. You can decide not to let their negativity affect your mood or work performance. Accepting that you cannot control others allows you to release a great deal of unnecessary stress. It's not about resignation or apathy, but about an active and conscious acceptance of reality. By recognizing that each person is responsible for their own behavior, you free yourself from the burden of feeling like you must change others. This not only gives you mental peace, but also allows you to interact with others from a place of greater calm and clarity. Furthermore, this understanding also helps you to be more compassionate. By recognizing that people act according to their own experiences, traumas, and insecurities, you can develop greater empathy towards them. This doesn't mean you should tolerate toxic behaviors, but you can understand where they are coming from, which enables you to handle the situation with more wisdom and less resentment. Ultimately, the dichotomy of control also teaches you to focus on what you can do to improve your own life, instead of wasting time and energy on what is beyond your control. This may include practices such as self-care, meditation, or simply spending time on things that bring you joy and satisfaction. By focusing on what you can control, you not only enhance your well-being, but also become a more balanced and resilient person, able to face life's challenges with greater serenity. A helpful way to internalize this principle is through visual metaphors. For example, you might imagine your life as a flowing river. Some currents are strong and beyond your control, but you have the power to navigate them in the best way possible. Letting go of the need to control every aspect of the river not only frees you from unnecessary burdens, but also allows you to enjoy the journey with more peace and gratitude. Inspiring stories of people who have learned to accept what they cannot control can also offer valuable lessons. For example, Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, wrote in his book Man's Search for Meaning about how he found inner freedom by accepting that while he could not change his circumstances, he could control how he responded to them. This acceptance allowed him to maintain his humanity and hope in the most extreme circumstances. By incorporating the dichotomy of control into your life, you can redirect your energy toward areas where you can truly make a difference. This not only helps you reduce stress and frustration, but also allows you to live more intentionally and purposefully. Instead of struggling against the inevitable, you learn to flow with life, finding peace in acceptance and strength in your ability to respond. 9. Find refuge within yourself. Marcus Aurelius deeply valued the idea of internal refuge, a mental and spiritual space where he could find peace amid the chaos of the outside world. In his meditations, he wrote, "People seek retreats in the countryside, by the sea, in the mountains, but it is possible at any moment to retreat within oneself." This quote highlights the importance of cultivating an inner space that is not just a physical location, but a sanctuary where you can find serenity and strength no matter what is happening around you. In modern life, finding this internal refuge may be more necessary than ever. We are constantly bombarded by external stimuli, negative news, social media, work, and social expectations, among other things. All of this can be overwhelming and affect our mental and emotional health. Therefore, it is crucial to develop an internal refuge to which you can retreat when things become too intense. This internal refuge can take many forms depending on what brings you peace and clarity. For some, it may be a daily meditation practice where you dedicate time to sit in silence, observe your thoughts, and connect with your breath. Meditation not only helps calm the mind, but also strengthens your ability to remain centered and tranquil, even in stressful situations. For others, the internal refuge may be time spent reading or reflecting. Reading inspiring or philosophical texts, such as Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, can provide you with a broader perspective and help remind you of what truly matters. Reading allows you to disconnect from external noise and immerse yourself in a space of wisdom and reflection. Another way to find refuge within yourself is through creativity. Activities like painting, writing, or making music can be powerful ways to connect with your inner self and express your emotions constructively. These activities not only provide you with an escape from daily stress, but also help cultivate a sense of peace and fulfillment. When facing toxic people or difficult situations, this internal refuge provides you with a safe place to mentally retreat, even if you are physically present in the situation. It serves as a constant reminder that, no matter what happens around you, you always have a place of peace and strength to return to. This practice not only protects your mental health, but also empowers you to face adversities with unshakable calm. In summary, finding refuge within yourself is essential for maintaining your balance in a chaotic world. This refuge is not a physical place, but a mental and spiritual state that you can cultivate through daily practices of self-care, reflection, and creativity. By developing this inner space, you ensure that you will always have a place of peace to turn to, regardless of what the outside world brings. To make this refuge an integral part of your life, you can create daily rituals that reinforce your connection to your inner self. These could include activities like journaling, meditating in the morning, or reading inspiring passages before bed. These moments of reflection help you build and maintain your internal refuge, providing an anchor of peace amid chaos. This concept is also found in other philosophical and religious traditions. For example, in Buddhism, the practice of meditation and mindfulness is used to cultivate a mental state of calm and clarity, similar to the internal refuge described by Marcus Aurelius. By practicing these techniques, you not only strengthen your mind, but also develop the ability to remain centered and balanced, even when the world around you is in disorder. Additionally, creating a physical environment that supports your internal refuge can be very helpful. You might dedicate a space in your home exclusively for meditation, reading and contemplation, or any other activity that helps you connect with your inner self. This space doesn't have to be large or elaborate. What matters is that it is a place where you can find tranquility and focus, a place that reminds you of your internal refuge whenever you need it. 10. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful and transformative practices you can incorporate into your life. Marcus Aurelius, in his reflections, emphasized the importance of gratitude as a tool to maintain calm and positivity, even in the face of adversity. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, think of the privilege of being alive, of breathing, of thinking, of enjoying, of loving." This simple practice of gratitude has the power to change your life. When you are surrounded by toxic people or facing difficult situations, it is easy to let the negative dominate your mind. However, gratitude offers you a way to counter this by shifting your focus from what is wrong to what is right. Even on the hardest days, there is always something to be grateful for, no matter how small. Practicing gratitude can be as simple as taking a few minutes each morning or before bed to reflect on 3 things you are thankful for. These things do not have to be big or extraordinary. In fact, it is often the smallest things that have the greatest impact on our well-being. You might be grateful for a pleasant conversation you had, for having a warm meal, or simply for having a moment of peace. Science supports the benefits of gratitude. Studies have shown that people who regularly practice gratitude experience higher levels of emotional well-being, less stress and anxiety, and greater resilience in the face of adversity. Gratitude not only improves your mood, but it can also change your brain, making it easier for you to see the positive in your life, even when things get tough. In situations where you face toxic people, gratitude can be a particularly powerful tool. Instead of focusing on the negativity that these individuals bring into your life, you can channel your energy into what you have to be grateful for. For example, if you have a colleague who is always critical, you might be grateful for the opportunity to learn patience and self-control. If a friend disappoints you, you could be thankful for the lessons of discernment and self-worth that you are learning. Moreover, gratitude has a multiplying effect. The more you practice it, the more things you find to be grateful for. This abundance mindset allows you to live more fully and with less fear or anxiety. When you live in gratitude, it is harder for toxic people to affect you because your focus is on what is good and positive in your life, not on what is wrong. Finally, gratitude also helps you maintain a broader perspective. It reminds you that, despite the challenges and difficult people, there are many things in your life worth being grateful for. This perspective gives you the strength and resilience to face whatever life throws your way, with an attitude of hope and positivity. To make gratitude a regular practice, you could create a gratitude journal where you write down 3 things you feel thankful for each day. This simple practice, when done consistently, can have a profound impact on your emotional well-being and your ability to handle difficult situations. Even in the midst of adversity, finding reasons to be grateful can transform your experience and help you maintain calm and clarity. It is fascinating how gratitude has also played a crucial role in the lives of many historical figures who faced enormous challenges. For example, during World War II, the writer Anne Frank, despite being in hiding and in constant danger, wrote in her diary about the small things she was grateful for, such as the beauty of the sky or the support of her family. This practice of gratitude helped her maintain hope and strength in one of the most desperate situations. Incorporating gratitude into your life not only protects you from negativity, but also opens you up to a greater appreciation of life and the people around you. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, you shift your perspective from scarcity to abundance, which not only improves your mood, but can also inspire others to do the same. Gratitude is a powerful tool that connects you to the best of life, even in the darkest moments. 11. Learn to let go. Letting go is one of the most difficult and powerful lessons of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, watch and take care not to entertain notions inappropriate to virtue and reasonable nature. Letting go does not mean giving up or fleeing. It means having the courage to release what no longer serves you, including people who constantly bring negativity into your life. Letting go is an act of liberation, not weakness. It requires bravery to recognize that some relationships or situations are no longer healthy for you, and that it is better for your mental and emotional well-being to let them go. This can be especially difficult when it comes to someone close, like a lifelong friend or a family member. However, it is important to remember that your inner peace and happiness are more important than maintaining relationships that harm you. Imagine a relationship you have tried to save repeatedly, but that remains a constant source of stress and pain. Despite your best efforts, the other person shows no signs of change or desire to improve the relationship. Instead of continuing to invest time and energy into something that is hurting you, Stoicism invites you to let go. This does not mean you do not care about the other person. Rather, you care enough about yourself to not allow that relationship to continue damaging your well-being. Letting go can also mean releasing expectations or resentments you have been carrying. Perhaps someone hurt you in the past, and you have been harboring bitterness or waiting for an apology that never comes. Stoicism teaches us that holding on to these feelings only prolongs our suffering. By letting go of these resentments, you free yourself from the emotional weight you have been carrying and allow peace and healing to enter your life. Another important aspect of learning to let go is understanding that not everything in life needs to be controlled or resolved. Sometimes things simply are as they are, and clinging to the need to change or control everything only creates more stress and frustration. Letting go involves accepting life as it is, with its imperfections and challenges, and finding peace within yourself, regardless of external circumstances. Ultimately, letting go opens up space in your life for new opportunities and healthier relationships. When you release what no longer serves you, you make room for people and experiences that nourish and inspire you. It is an act of self-care and self-love that allows you to live more freely and authentically without being tied to what holds you back or harms you. To facilitate the process of letting go, you can use metaphors or visualizations. A helpful visualization is to imagine you are holding a rope that ties you to something heavy. As you decide to let go of the rope, you feel the burden lighten and free yourself from that unnecessary weight. This mental practice can help you let go more easily, reminding you that sometimes the greatest strength lies in releasing. The art of letting go is also reflected in many spiritual and philosophical traditions. In Buddhism, for example, the concept of non-attachment is central to achieving inner peace. By letting go of our expectations and unmet desires, we free ourselves from suffering and find greater emotional freedom. By incorporating this principle into your daily life, you can discover a new way of living that is less focused on controlling or possessing and more centered on acceptance and gratitude. Additionally, letting go applies to your own thoughts and emotions. If you find that certain negative thoughts or anxieties are haunting you, practicing the art of letting go of those thoughts can be transformative. You can start by identifying these thoughts and then consciously deciding to release them, knowing that holding on to them only prolongs your suffering. Over time, this practice will allow you to live with more lightness and peace. Finally, by learning to let go, you are opening space in your life for the new and the positive. This can include new relationships, opportunities for personal growth, or simply greater inner peace. When you allow yourself to release what no longer serves you, you give yourself the chance to thrive and create a life that is more aligned with your deepest values and desires. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, but of an inner strength that knows when it is time to move on to something better. We have explored together 11 powerful ways, inspired by Stoicism, to handle toxic people and protect your well-being. These are not magical solutions that will instantly remove difficult people from your life, but practical tools that, when consistently applied, can transform how you manage these situations. Remember, it is not about changing others, but about strengthening your own mind and spirit. As Marcus Aurelius taught us, true strength comes from within. So, the next time you face a toxic person, ask yourself, how can I apply these Stoic principles to maintain my calm and dignity? If this video has been helpful to you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment about the key takeaway that resonated most with you, and share it with someone who could benefit from these teachings. We all need a bit of Stoic wisdom in our lives. See you in the next video.